Well, I finally got a warm enough day to come outside and finish this bird feeder, or work on it some more. Made an outline on the piece of wood that I'm going to use as to how I want to cut it. And so now I'm going to do some cuts and proceed from there. All right, so my first cut is going to cut the two sides and the bottom separate from what will be the roof. So I'm going to cut this line first. And I'm going to line this up as best I can. Okay, so now I'm gonna cut along this line to remove this excess all as one piece instead of three little pieces. And I set up the saw, so I should be able to do it just like that. So now I want to cut the two sides and the base apart, but the two sides need to be exactly the same size, so I'm going to cut the two sides using the stop block, and the base can be a little different, so that's going to be the leftovers. Alright, so I need to cut grooves for the plexiglass to slide into, so I had to take the safety guard off, and I'm just going to push the things to until I get to that stop, and then stop the instrument and do the other side. That's where I want to be. All right, to the other side. Now I need to reset the fence to do the other side. Okay, so to make sure that my groove is the same distance from the edge, I'm flipping it upside down on top of the blade and setting my fence on the left the same at that distance. So now when I turn it around and go on the right, it should be the same. Now the other one. Okay, let's check them all. All right, so this is about what it's going to look like. I got the bottom, the two sides with the grooves for the plexiglass. I'm going to put a little wedge in the bottom so that the bird seed slides to the edges, and then I got to build a roof. So I'm going to have to bevel these corners, and then I need to put something here to keep the bird seed from falling out the front, and then I have some dowel that I'm gonna cut so that it'll go here, so the birds will have something to stand on. So first step though is I'm gonna make a little wedge to put in the bottom. Cross member to make almost like an I-beam across for stability, and then I'm gonna cut the wedge for the bottom out of a 2x4 using my miter saw. Alright, on miter saw, but this is the length I need off the 2x4, and I could cut the 2x4 on the table saw, but it'll be better to do an angle cut here. So I need to get that set right there. So I'm going to lock in this stop block. Make sure I get the same size on my 2x4. And that should be the same size. 45 degrees on each side to force the bird seat out to the edges. So I want to cut this like that. So I set up a block here, turn my miter to 45 degrees, and we're going to cut it. On the bottom like that, and then this piece is going to go up here to stabilize it this way, because I don't know if you've ever built shelves, but if you built shelves and you just have four corners with nothing stabilizing this way, they will break. So now we're going to move to the roof and get that done. I did not leave enough on top for a peak. So I think what I'm going to do is cut the roof line and then cut the plexiglass down to size, because otherwise the roof is not going to stay on very well. Going back to the compound miter saw at 45 degrees with a stop block. Also, because it's such a short cut, the compound miter saw can handle it. See if these things are still identical. I'm going to measure with my ruler I got from Design and Drafting by Gina, my sister's company, what my roof line needs to be. So the one piece is going to be, I want it to overhang maybe 2 inches. So let's go 7 inches on one piece. And then to get 7 inches on the other, I need to go 7 3/4 for the other one. All right, so I got this set up for 7 inches. I'm going to cut that one first. Do 7 3/4 is here. 7-inch wide cut. So I'm gonna mark, I'd like to get rid of that knot if I can. Yeah. 7 inches. And then we'll set it up for 7 inches, which I think I already had, but maybe not. Alright, so I cut the plexiglass to size, but I remembered that I need to put something to hold the dowel out in front and prevent the bird, put something here to prevent the bird seed from just flying out. So I got a couple more cuts to make. I have this extra piece that I'm gonna rip in half and cut the length, and that should work. Then I'm gonna put some other pieces with this, one on either side, to end up with dowel rods. So let's cut this to length and then cut it in half. So that's the length I need. Let's transfer that around. Yeah. Okay, let's see how wide this is. 2 inches. That'll give us a 1/4 inch lip. I don't know if that's enough. I want a 1/2 inch lip. I'll just have to use the other piece. So let me cut this to length. Now I need to set it. 3/4 and a half is 1 1/4. Let's put 1 1/4 back on the other end. I don't know if my fence goes over that far. Oh yeah. Perfect. That'll give me more than enough length to put some dowels in. So I need to make sure I don't cut it too thin. I want to go exactly in half as best I can and we are at 2 inches. 2.5 inches, so we're gonna go 1.25 inches. Mark 1.25 inches up here. Alright, I wanna rip this whole piece at that size. This is just about where I was at. There. Alright, that'll work just like that. Now I need to cut these to a length, drill holes in them. Let's see. I want to go 2 inches. Where's my drafting and design by Gina? No, design and drafting by Gina. I'm going to go 2 inches. And then 2 inches, let's cut it there. Okay, now we should be done with the saw. Basic roof and internal support. Just got to drill some holes for the dowels. So I want to put a 1/2 inch dowel into these for the birds to rest. So I got my router, put the 1/2 inch bit in there. I had to charge the battery, but so I want to come with my plunge router about halfway through the piece of wood, a little more. Not quite that much. Easier if I had something the thickness of how far I want to go in, but I was looking and couldn't find anything. There, that's about how far I want to go. So I'm going to drop the set pin to prevent me from going any further. And then I'm going to test it on this piece of wood here, because I've never actually used this or any other router before. So let's see how it goes. Yeah, so that's not the right bit for what I want to do. Let's disconnect the power. Let's see if this one works. That is what I wanted to do. I just got to see how tight of a fit this is now. Oh, look at that. These sticks, all 4 spots where I need it. I had to put some pieces of wood on either side to support the plunge router, and we're going to try and eyeball these up as best we can. That's one. 2, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other one. That's it. So I just finished sanding everything on all the sides with the Palm orbital sander. I went through the 60 grit, and then the 100 grit, and then the 150 grit, and then the 240 grit. So everything is sanded. I'm gonna wipe it down with a damp cloth, and then tomorrow the plan is to glue it and nail it together. It's too cold for the glue today, but tomorrow's supposed to be warmer, so I'll check back in tomorrow.